Thinking back and looking at what Hina's father said about her and why he did what he did, and looking at our boy Yota interacting and seeing where Hina's currently standing, it does put into perspective. And even at the time when we were interacting with her father, I said, while you may not be able to justify it, a lot of people put in his situation would probably do the same because it would just simply be too painful. And while we know Yoda's not going to be the one to run away and let her die in a facility surrounded by very good people by the looks of it, it still is pretty painful. And it's disappointing, but it's the direction that it was always going to go. And I am a real big fan of sad anime, those series that don't have happy endings, that do end in tragedy, so for me this is going to be perfect, even though it will be depressing. I actually saw some interesting conversations surrounding the hacker Hiroto Suzuki, who I've seen some people say this feels more like a plot device than an actual character, and I can kind of see where some people are coming from, but for me personally, looking at this boy, and how he's had such a shitty life where his parents used him to the point that when he saw their dead bodies, he laughed in the face and was so happy for that. The CEO, this female director, who never appeared to be a bad person, but honestly was trying to take care of this hacker who had a lot of skills, but there are a chain of commands, there is a hierarchy, and just because he wants to do something, just because she wants to do something, doesn't mean that they can. So the idea of her actually taking this boy under her wing ever since before the anime even started, to now actually him living with her and seemingly having a very happy life, while I do want to see a little bit more before the show completely wraps up, the idea of her giving him a chance to redeem himself in his own eyes, to go towards this boy, and as long as he reveals the proper determination to see Hina once again, that means you have the ability to show him where she is. If this is something that you have to, actually explicitly state that you want to see Hina and it's not his own desire, then we can't grant you permission to do so. But this is a chance for you to redeem your own heart because I know how crushed you are. And to see the difference of his persona from the last episode now to this, and to see how much better his life seemingly has been. And we skip through a few seasons here. We come off of the summer break, we go to fall, we go to the winter, we get entrance exams. There's a lot that happens, but rather than this being a traditional Jumaida episode where this is usually his episode 12, I said it last week, usually what we saw with episode 9 is what we usually see at episode 11 for a one-core Jumaida work. So the idea that we still have 2 episodes left to go, it doesn't feel like things are rushing through. The time skips throughout the seasons doesn't feel like it's rushing because we only have a limited amount of time. It's more to say, this is just how stubborn he was into admitting that he's been re-experiencing the same things he experienced with Hina. He specifically went the route of doing the exact same things that Hina did, but Yoda's so sad and scared of the truth of what's happened to her that he's just hoping that he'll find her as she once was, afraid to admit that, we're doing the exact same things and this boy probably knows the truth about her. So the idea of building up him that way and then having him shake him down, being like, do you know what happened to her? And he's saying, if you wanted me to be honest, I'm pretty much the reason she ended up in this situation, even though I didn't personally pull the chip from her head. So the build up to that, while I can see where some people are coming from with the idea of it felt like he was more of a plot device, when we look at his past and his family and how he was interacting with this woman, it never felt to me like she was just there to be the big boss, but rather she was someone who cared about Hiroto, and honestly it feels perfectly in line to give him that kind of peace of mind as he probably goes back and lives a seemingly normal life to the best of his ability. Obviously he's going to still have a job doing his hacking and things like that, but it definitely feels like there's been a change in his heart, and while you can technically say he was a plot device, I personally view him just as much as a character as I would Hina herself, even though you could probably argue she's just there to make us cry at the end. So I really liked that development myself, and even though I knew it was going to be painful, the soft acoustics and just the soft scores that were playing as we were building up to this all-female facility, and at first I was a little interested in why it was all-female by the looks of it. We only saw a couple of people, but as far as the eye could see, there's no males around. So the idea that when you walk in and you just see a seemingly lifeless corpse, and Yoda freaks out. And I know people are going to hound this boy saying oh, she says don't scream and you scream. Not only is this boy a teenager who is not even a fully functioning adult yet, he has no control over his emotions. He's not this person who can be cool, calm, and collected. I don't think I know a single teenager when I was growing up, that if they were put in a situation where one of their family members is now lifeless, that they would be able to keep cool, calm, and collected. It's a pretty natural response, and while it may infuriate you that he's not obeying the rules, he is a kid. That's what he is. I mean, just because you're 18 or you're 17 or you're 19, you're not ready for stuff like this. You're not ready to experience something like that. I mean, just look at Hina's father. That's something you're never going to be prepared for. So yeah, you can argue it's a little immature that he completely lashes out verbally and stuff. But how the hell wouldn't he? He's experienced this amazing summer with her, and she looks like, her hair is now short. Did she get it shaved? And as the information gets rolling, these men shaved her head, went into her brain to rip out this chip, and now she is so terrified of males that she has to be around an all-female staff. And while he does have the permission to take her back with him, unless she wants it, he can't. This is a very painful situation, and I think they honestly wrote it and directed it exceptionally well. To be honest, I thought she wasn't able to move or respond at all, and I was like, if we see 2 episodes of this, holy shit. Are many people going to be cry watching every single episode that's remaining? But the idea that she seemingly can move, but she doesn't have the ability to verbally communicate, most likely due to going inside your brain. It's difficult. It's difficult to say what's going to happen. A part of me wonders that if next week with episode 11, we're going to experience probably multiple days, probably similar to the time skip we got in this episode, probably multiple days leading up to most likely the final few, where she maybe eventually build up a trust that she starts talking with him. Probably doesn't remember the summers, my guess. And then episode 12, we get her back home where she dies around her friends and family. That's what I feel like we're building up to. And it's going to be painful. And I'm sure there's going to be some people saying, oh, Yoda should go get vengeance, or Yoda should do this or that. But that's never really been the point. I mean, it's very hard to get vengeance against multiple governments. We're not going to go Rambo here. This is just a kid who's entering the adult world who now has to watch one of his family members die, and hopefully he does it better than her biological father. This was a very painful episode, and I knew exactly what he was doing in the intro with repeating Hina's timeline, but I was curious what was his desire in doing so, because he could have just said, I know where she is, I can take you to her, but it felt like Yoda was locking himself away, unable to admit to what's happened, trying to hand out flyers hoping that he would just find her as she was. I think that was a great way to really showcase just how lost in the past he was, unable to accept reality. The fact that he wouldn't even play the movie that they made, and that he was like, we're gonna finish the movie, which honestly, thinking about, now that I mention it, what a way to finish the movie. She comes back on her last day in life, film a final scene or something. That would probably make me cry. I'm not even joking here. It just feels painful. It feels well paced. I personally feel like this is his best paced work in terms of a one core. It generally feels like this is the last episode for him and you have to jam in 3 extra episodes. So honestly, I'm sticking by what I've said ever since the first couple episodes. This feels like it's right on track to only need 12 episodes. And honestly, I'm really excited to see where it's going to wrap up. I think it was emotionally engaging, the voice actors were painful, and honestly, some of the directing was a real tearjerker, and just see an ordinary girl who used to be a god in such a scared, fragile body, it definitely is depressing, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. For a tearjerker from Jun Maeda. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Where do you think the final couple episodes are going to go, and how sad did this episode make you? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to either be mad or sad watching this episode. If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy and new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.